We're out here in Pinckney on the Portage Lake. We're off of Mud Bay and a canal at Mary and Doug Smith's house. This is a permanent dock situation. One of the biggest issues this customer had was it was a temporary dock to start with, and it was not seamless from deck on shore to dock. And they were constantly having to adjust and reinstall, re-level everything all the time due to the soft conditions and the year-round fact that it was in the water during ice movement and everything else. One of the biggest things we had to do was make sure that we were through frost line with this dock. We had to make sure that we had substantial sized steel put in. These pipes are 20 feet long, in the ground over 15 feet. This isn't something that we have a floating form for, so string lines, plumb, level, straightness, everything played a huge factor in making sure this was done. And one of the biggest hurdles we had is we could not do this from shore. This had to be done with an excavator on a barge, free floating. So you can imagine the hurdles that that comes with. We definitely have to have some experienced gentlemen here. We had to have fabricators, but they couldn't be just special to fabrication. They had to be able to float and fabricate. We had to have machine operators that weren't just operators. They also had to be involved in the water. I mean, you're talking finished carpentry with welding. Your structural steel, you have to account for the decking material surface. You have to account for any variables that can be encountered in the water. We're driving 20-foot pipe in the ground. There's obstructions everywhere. So when you're putting these pipe down, a lot of times they're coming back out. We're excavating material out and putting these pipe back in once the ground is settled back in. One of the biggest things was getting the pipe to height from the surface of the water. Water's always level as long as it's calm. So we had to deal with wake as far as getting our height set, and then using angle iron for our framing. We had to ensure that the deck on shore was square, or we squared as best as we could off of it to make it a seamless transition from the deck to the dock. You got guys holding pipe, you got guys putting, running equipment, you got guys fabricating as we go to keep our straight line, keep our plumb, and keep our height. It's a very difficult process, especially in a canal with the soft marrow bottom conditions. You have to get to something solid to make sure it does not move and that it'll be here for 20 or 30 years without flexing. They had an existing deck on shore, as you can see, had to be tied into the structure, and the customer wanted to match the deck that they have on their house. They wanted the same materials used on the dock and on the dock on shore. This decking is a Trex Transcend decking, specific color spiced rum. They have this stuff on the deck on their house, and they wanted to be able to match everything. So we had to order in quite a bit of this stuff, and came at a very difficult time with the amplified building trade going on right now. There's actually a national deficit in getting this material, so we definitely had to pull a lot of strings to make sure that we had the decking for this job when it was ready to be constructed. This decking is not tongue and groove. This is the 1-inch squared edge spaced. You cannot do tongue and groove when you are on a waterfront or over the water, because if there is any flex or movement, this decking has to be able to flex and move with the tolerations of what the water and ice is going to throw at it, and be able to flex back. If you do tongue and groove, your decking is going to be popping up all over the surface. Another consideration that we had to take into play is the changing sizes of the boats in today's market. Currently they have a very nice Harris pontoon boat, and it's about a 30-foot long boat, so we had to make sure we had 30-foot long sections so they could reach the entire length of their boat. It's an 8.5-foot beam. We had to make sure that we accommodated a 12-foot width inside of each of these finger piers to ensure that if they did get a bigger boat, because a lot of these pontoons and party barges are going to 10-foot wide, they now have a slip that will accommodate a bigger boat or a hoist if they would so choose. Behind me, now you can see the finished product, Trex Transcend decking in a spiced rum, mooring cleats for friends of theirs to come over and tie off to, solar LED lights, and they're ready to use for the rest of their season this year and many seasons to come.